We are on lesson 5, Origins of Judaism. So let's look through your digital notebook. You have your 6 vocabulary words. You have 1 mastery check question, 2 more mastery check questions, your 4th mastery check question, and your 5th mastery check question. So you have 10 pages, and let's get going.
Judaism. Lesson 5. Origins of Judaism. Judaism first developed as a religion more than 3,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent. It was the world's first religion based on one God who set down laws about right and wrong. Judaism has helped shape the religions of Christianity and Islam, as well as modern ideas about law and human rights.
All right, let's go ahead and watch the lesson video. Gonna make it full screen here for you.
Judaism, the religion of the Jewish people, is one of the world's oldest religions. Judaism first developed more than 3,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent. Although their neighbors worshiped many gods, the Israelites practiced monotheism, or the belief that there is only one God. They also believe that God has called on them to act based on ethics, or ideas of right and wrong. Much of what Jews believe about the origins of Judaism comes from the Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. The first book of the Torah, called Genesis, tells of a man named Abraham, who may have lived around 1700 BCE and was a herder near the ancient city of Ur. According to the Torah, God told Abraham to leave behind all his possessions and move to the land of Canaan, on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. The Torah says that God made a covenant or binding agreement with Abraham that Canaan would belong to Abraham's descendants. Canaan became known as the Promised Land. According to the Torah, Abraham's grandson Jacob had 12 sons. Each of Jacob's sons became the ancestor of at least one large group of related families called a tribe. Jacob was later renamed Israel. The 12 tribes descended from Jacob became known as the Israelites. The second book of the Torah, the Exodus, tells that the Israelites were forced from the Promised Land by a famine, a lack of food that was most likely the result of a drought. They moved to Egypt where grain was plentiful. Once in Egypt, however, they were enslaved and forced to work by the Egyptians. Moses was an Israelite who had been adopted into the Egyptian royal family. He was told by God to rescue the Israelites, so Moses asked the Pharaoh, or king of Egypt, to set his people free. According to the Torah, when the Pharaoh refused, God set 7 plagues, or terrible hardships, upon Egypt. Finally, the Pharaoh allowed the Israelites to leave Egypt. The escape of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt is called the Exodus. Each year, Jews celebrate Passover to commemorate the Jews' escape from slavery to freedom. The book of Exodus goes on to say Moses and his people wandered in the desert of the Sinai Peninsula for 40 years. Exodus tells how during that time, Moses met with God, who gave Moses the Torah. The Torah contains what we call today the 10 Commandments. Why is Passover an important Jewish holiday?
All right, let's go ahead and get back to our setup here. All right, let's go ahead and look at this, the vocab words, pages 1 and 2. So page 1, we have monotheism. That is the belief in a single God. That means one God. Ethics. Oops, where'd it go? Beliefs about what is right and wrong. Torah. The first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. Page 2, covenant. It's a binding agreement. When we're talking about a covenant, we're not talking about an agreement like I would make with a bank. That's not what a covenant is. A covenant is a religious binding agreement. Exodus, escape of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, and commandment, in order to do something. So go ahead and get those 6 words defined. Open up your purple PowerPoint and do that now. right, we are going to move on to page 3 in our digital notebook. Click next one time to move on to the next page in the e-text. Get rid of this window if you need to. And let's go ahead and listen. The first question we are looking to answer is, monotheism is the belief that what? So you'll find that answer in this yellow circled text. The next question, Israelites had important beliefs about what? That will be in this pink paragraph. So let's go ahead and listen.
The early Israelites and the worship of one God. The Israelites were related to other peoples of the Fertile Crescent, but they developed a unique culture. Although their neighbors worshipped many gods, the Israelites practiced monotheism, or the belief that there is only one God. They believed that God created each person in God's image. The Israelites also had important beliefs about the proper way for people to live. They believed that God called on them to act based on ethics, or ideas of right and wrong. Their teachings and practices became known as Judaism, the religion of the Jewish people. Judaism is one of the world's oldest religions.
All right, number 1, monotheism is the belief that what? You'll find that answer in this yellow circled couple sentences. Number 2, Israelites had important beliefs about what? You'll find that answer in this pink highlighted paragraph. All right, moving on to page 4, you're going to notice there's 2 mastery check questions here. So the first one, we're going to go ahead and start listening, but you're going to look for, and here will be your answer, the Israelites consider, I don't know, I think it's Canaan, or it's I don't know, we'll hear it in the reading, to be the promised land because they believe that what? So in this yellow circled text, you'll find this answer. Let's go ahead and listen now.
What are the origins of Judaism? Most of what Jews believe about the origins of their religion comes from the Torah. The Torah consists of the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. These are also the first 5 books of the Christian Old Testament, which has all of the books of the Hebrew Bible. The archaeology and history of Egypt and Mesopotamia also help us understand the world of the Torah. Abraham's Covenant. The Torah tells about a man named Abraham, who may have lived about 1700 BCE. He herded animals near Ur in Mesopotamia. According to the Torah, God told Abraham to leave Ur and travel with his family to Canaan, on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. The Torah says that God then made a covenant, or binding agreement, with Abraham. The land of Canaan would belong to Abraham's descendants, so it became known as the Promised Land. Primary source. I will maintain my covenant between me and you, and your offspring to come, as an everlasting covenant throughout the ages, to be God to you and your offspring to come. Genesis 17:7.
Number 1, the Israelites consider Canaan to be the promised land because they believe that what? In this yellow highlighted paragraph, you'll find that answer. Number 2, you're going to find that answer in this yellow circled paragraph that we're about to listen to. The forefathers of the Jewish people were known as what? Again, you'll find that in this paragraph. Let's go ahead and listen.
The patriarchs. The Torah says that Abraham led his people to Canaan. Abraham, his son Isaac, and Isaac's son Jacob are known as the patriarchs, or the forefathers of the Jewish people. According to the Torah, Abraham's grandson Jacob had 12 sons. Each of Jacob's sons became the ancestor of at least one large group of related families called a tribe. Jacob was later renamed Israel. The 12 tribes descended from Jacob became known as the Israelites. Scholars believe that the stories of the patriarchs were passed along by word of mouth for hundreds of years. Eventually, they were written down in Genesis, the first book of the Torah.
All right, again, number 2. The forefathers of the Jewish people were known as what? You'll find that answer in this second, under the patriarchs, circled yellow paragraph.